We're gapping the hood today. This side of the hood had large gaps here. I showed a little bit about that gap. I put some bar stock. This happens to be 1/4 inch, which is kind of too heavy to do this with, but I did this with a 1/4 inch. Wrap that around there. And then I took this here bar is 3/16, and then I followed the 3/16 all the way up, all the way to the middle. And so if you look at this gap here, you can see it's tight. Still got a gap though, but it is tight, and it gets a little looser up here. You know, maybe a little tighter here. What I can do now is I can finish welding this, grind that flat, and then I can grind this edge to the line I need, because it's a little tight here, you know. So that's how you create that line. That's perfect. So if I keep going down here, you see how wide that is here. See, that's too wide. So I'm gonna put more material all the way down this. Maybe not all the way down, but mostly all the way down. And hopefully that'll also help with this curve that I'm gonna have to work on too. So that's what I'm working on. And then I'm gonna adjust the hinge up here. I'm gonna put a stopper in there so these cannot move back and forth at all. But that's a different one. So I'm gonna continue on this gapping. Oh, and to show you the front, which I've already kind of did gapping on, but this was already tight. See, it was already tight. In fact, the hood actually hit here when it came, the curve wasn't right here. So I ground this out, I made it like a line. You can just barely see a line right there. That's where I had to grind out to, and then down, you know. And I can, now I did it a little bit, I can do it a little bit more after I get that other side done. But I got enough there that I'm happy with that for now, until I get this side all set up and I get the back and forth taken care of, because you move just slightly, get that taken care of, and then I can fine tune this gap. So there we go. I got it ground down, as you can see. If you take a look, see how tight that is right there? And see, I'm gonna have to grind that back, and so you can see how wide it is here. That's probably close to where I wanna be, right about there, maybe just a little more. And that's gotta match all the way down, but you can see I got it really tight here, and it kind of gets a little looser right in that spot. That might be about right also. I can always add weld to that if I need to. And then here's the part I have to fine tune here. And now I'm gonna go down here, go down. So that's where that's at. And again, my front looks good. There you go. I did the same thing, added a piece of material, 3/16 from here all the way down. You can see that gap looks really good, except it gets a little tight right through here. I still got to curve that a little bit right here, and then of course there'll be a rubber thing here, but so I'll get that, and then that's that gap. The gap is coming good. I got to grind this a little bit, and we'll finish off that stuff. But right now I'm just getting it all roughed in. By adding that rod here, that helped the contour of this. This no longer sticks out. It's a little bulged right here, but I'm gonna be bending that in. Like that, you can see it has a little flex there. So I'll be pounding that in, getting that all straightened out. I have the hood all apart. I took it apart here. I took the chrome piece off, it's over there, of the other one. Anyway, I'm working on this hood. And as you can see, I actually slit the hood here so it comes down better to here. Now it's like right there. The other thing I've been doing is I've been doing a little fill work underneath here for the braces. So I'm gonna seal that. and then I'll do body work underneath there. So that's where this hood is, this half, this part, this quarter is right now, and it's a little warped. It's just a little, see how that has a little movement there? That's part of a problem that I have, so I'll be twisting this just a little bit. It was a lot worse than that when I pulled when I just had the hood on without the sides. It just popped way up. Now it's pretty good. I think it'll get sucked down pretty easily. This is the other half or quarter here. I'm working on doing all this. Now, I had primed this with the PPG 7030 or 7050 primer. I do not like it. It's supposed to be a direct to metal, and it's flaking off. It's flaking off. And it was prepped, it was sanded and everything else. So I'm in the process of also stripping that off, at least as much as I can that will come off. If it's stuck hard on there, then that's gonna stay. And then I'm gonna seal it with DP. I'm gonna go back to the DP90, and I'll use the slick sand for my sanding primer. So, and you can see where I added here. So that's where I'm at. I'll continue on and keep updating. I'm still working on this one side of the hood. As you can see, you know, earlier I stretched this out to get the curve right, but when I got this curve right, you know, none of this really fit flush here, you know. So I did make a cut here to pull it down. Well, it buckled this way here. So there's a couple different ways to handle that, and you can use heat and pound it and shape it, but my thought was I'm gonna cut it. I'm gonna cut it and I'm gonna force that metal down. So that's what I did. So there's actually a cut here, here, and here. Kind of comes all the way down to here. They did cross actually. Now I think about it, originally they didn't, but they did. So that way I could take these and I could push this down. I could push those down. I could push this down and I could weld that. And that's what I did to get it. This support inside, I wasn't happy with the way it formed here. It's hard to get it exactly right with the equipment that I have. I just did, you know, it didn't fit tight here. Some spots did, some spots didn't. So anyway, I had to cut that support on the inside and I pulled it out just a hair and re-welded it to give me my gap. And now you can see that gap is, or the gap, the levelness is right there. Close enough to deal with, you know. The other thing is, you know, I had to get this body line. So I had to come down on that body line. And now that body line is lining up right where it's supposed to line up. I'll have to trim this a little bit to gap that right. And then this hood side is tight. You can see how it gets really kind of, it's like on top, right on that edge. So I'm gonna have to trim that down a little bit compared to the front, which the front is really pretty decent. The other thing was this whole hood was twisted. I don't know if I explained that or not. So the whole hood was, this half was twisted so this would pop up. When I had this hood side off and went just to shut this, that was sticking up. So I put a block underneath there and I pushed on this until it came down. Now I'm pretty good. It's just a tick high and that's okay. I can use a little fill on the nose just to kind of make that right. I mean just a minuscule amount. I mean, you can just see it. It's almost maybe the thickness of that metal. Now I'm working on this side. So this is kind of what I did to the other side. You can see how this hood here is flexed up. That's what I mean by this is twisted. So I can shut this. It shuts good down there, but sticking up here. Normally, I think that's, excuse me, that's okay because they're just this thin metal and then they just get pulled down. But since I have this support in here, that means that this has to shut almost right on, or I'll have a hard time pulling it down with the hood side. So I'm going to be working on twisting this hood so this comes down, because that would be, that would be okay. And the other thing I'm working on over here is that this hood is just a little high right back here. You can see that's just a little high. In fact, it gets a little low right through here. And I do have my little rubber things in there. So, and you can see it's pushed in right here. So that means this needs to come out, but by making this come out, this has to come down. So my support in here that I put in here will probably have to be cut so I can push it down, and that'll help push this out, if that makes any sense. I've already been on top of it. I've actually stood up here to bend this down as much as I could, because it was a lot worse than that, but it's getting pretty good. It's probably just a little more than the thickness of the metal, which is not, it could be close enough, but it's not close enough for me. So I'm going to cut these spot welds underneath. You can see it here. And I'm going to cut right along about where those spot welds are. I'm going to push this down, stretching this out using a block behind the support that I have in there, so it doesn't bend the side here. It's going to be on that support, and it's going to force that down and force this out. And when it gets to the point where I need it, then I'll weld that support up on the other side, and you'll never know it's there. So that's what I'm doing. It's kind of a pain in the butt. This is why people don't, like I said before, don't normally do it this way. But I want the 4-piece hood, 3-hinge 4-piece hood. So there we go. I think I got this side pretty close. Close enough that where I can just trim now, strip and prime. So there you go. So now I got the other half all on. I did what I was saying. I cut the support on the inside, straightened it out a little bit, pulled it out a little bit. It kind of got sucked in here, you know, so I pulled it out, cut it actually a few places. And when I was getting this hood to fit, just like the other side, it starts to buckle up in here. And you can try to shrink it all you want, but in reality, it's easier just to cut a slit on the high side of that and push them down, and that takes that slit and makes it smaller and weld it up. So now, yeah, it's not exactly perfectly flat, not necessarily looking for that. It'd be great, but you know, it's just not the reality of my world. So now it's ready to be stripped and body worked, and I will continue in this video to show you what the body work all looks when it's done. So that's it. And now the gap, the height is good. Gap might be a little tight in a couple spots. Again, I gotta grind that yet. So there we go. It's good up here. The hood actually fits really nice along here on this side. Really decent on this side, except right there's a little bulgy, you know, right there. You really can't do much about that unless I'm gonna pull that in, and it's gonna buckle up in here, and I'm gonna have to slit it again. So this isn't really worth it. There's not hardly anything there. So I'm just gonna take a little fill on this side and fill that, so that'll all be good. So this is just the way the hood rests. This hood is a little warped, so it pops a little here. But that's okay, because it didn't take much effort to push it down. If it took effort to push it down, it'd be a big deal, but it just pops just a little bit, about, you know, an 1/8 inch above. And then when you lock it down, it pulls it tight. So there you go. I'm gonna continue on. It's gonna be a long video.